First of all, what is your reaction to what we know and the statements that the president has made so far about his plan?
Well, it's hard to say because we don't know what the plan is, but conceptually, the idea of a stimulus strikes me as solving the wrong problem. It's a good tactic. It may be a good backstop, but we have a medical problem here, not a monetary or a fiscal or anything else. The only solution in front of us is medical. So are we putting enough resources behind finding a vaccine? Do we understand the virus? Have we ordered enough testing kits? So, today we say, well, there are a small number of people who have been affected. Our problem is that we haven't tested many people. In fact, of all the countries that have been impacted by the virus, we're the ones who have done the least testing. That worries me. We should get after that. Whether a stimulus can be negotiated, whether it can be targeted very specifically at people who need the help, perhaps that could be a good idea, but it's not going to solve the problem. The problem is, I think the president has to stand up. He has to say, we have an issue. We're going to solve it this way. Let's all stick together and let's get it behind us. But apparently, that's just not the language that's coming out of the White House.
So Secretary Gutierrez, the head of the CDC, now saying we're beyond containment in certain cases, in certain states. Would you say, or just how dire would you say the crisis is at this point?
Well, I think it's very bad because we really don't know. We're sort of in the dark. We know we have a problem, but the numbers aren't telling us how big the problem is. I give states a lot of credit where they've declared a state of emergency. We are in a state of emergency, and we need to do everything from a medical point of view. But since we haven't tested people in several months, there could be cases in every single state. There could be cases spreading as we speak. I don't want to alarm anyone, but the reality is that we have not paid attention to testing. And that's going to get us in trouble. We need to know how big the problem is.
Let's talk about just how big the problem is and could be. What parts of the economy do you think will be hardest hit? There's an entirely new economy, the gig economy, that is a brand new group of workers that didn't exist before the financial crisis.
Yeah, there's no question. A lot of service jobs, people who have 3 or 4 jobs, and they're part of the gig economy. One of those could be driving an Uber. But the industries, the large industries that are going to get hit, continue to get hit badly. Hotels, airlines, cruise ships, entertainment, anywhere that requires the gathering of a lot of people. So, conferences are still on calendars, but as we get closer, they're just getting canceled and canceled. The problem is to solve the medical issue. And, we have a very high fiscal deficit. And whatever spending we do is not going to be efficient because it's not the solution to the problem. So I just think we need to be careful and keep some powder for when the virus is over or the virus has tempered or has gone down or under control, that we have enough to be able to get out of this mess. Because, we have to remember our economy was slowing down before coronavirus. So the virus has just made it worse. But it's not going to be a total rebound back to 2-3% growth. I don't see that.
You ran Kellogg for many years, a multinational food conglomerate. Should we be worried about food safety?
Well, food companies, pharmaceuticals, my goodness, they dress like coronavirus medics at all times, gloves, helmets. So I wouldn't look at that specifically. I would be more concerned about people, about gatherings of people, about just huge crowds where you just don't know if there are 2 or 3 or 4 people.
Do you think we should be closing schools? Should we be closing all the public schools?
Well, I think that in areas where we have seen an outbreak, in areas where we have seen problems, yes, I think we should. Now, if it's an overreaction, well, let it be an overreaction. I think it's a lot better than underreacting. So, yes, I think we should do whatever needs to be done. And in this case, it's our public servants who have these decisions to make and who need to be able to tell us how big the problem is.